20 students from colleges and universities around the nation, sponsored by grants from the Aetna Foundation and from members and local chapters of the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association, met in Las Vegas, October 1st through the 4th, at the 7th Annual Convention of the Association to participate in NLGJA's first ever student video and website projects. Students were led by producers of the Gay News Network, along with mentors recruited from the association's membership. 11 students made up the website project, whose output, the Digital Reporter, can be viewed online at nlgja.org/convention/dr. 9 students, 3 teams of 3 students each, made up the video project. They worked around the clock in an improvised newsroom using Beta SP camera and editing gear loaned by CBS and NBC. Their assignment? To cover the most newsworthy events of the convention, and 6 of their stories are presented here. For the video project's first story, Brad Dixon of Michigan State University shot, Phil Kahn of the University of Florida produced, and Dan Strickland of DePaul University reported on the convention's opening reception.
Thank you, Steve. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here tonight, and I'm proud to welcome the members of the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association to the fastest growing city in the United States. And for those of you...
Las Vegas Mayor Jan Jones opens her arms to the 7th Annual NLGJA Convention. About 200 members of the organization gathered for the kickoff reception, and writer Jonathan Capehart says the convention serves a valuable purpose for gay journalists.
What to do if you're in the closet, what to do if you're out of the closet, what to do if you're out loud and proud.
But the highlight of the evening was Lesley Stahl. The legendary 60 Minutes correspondent talked about how far gays and lesbians have come in the newsroom.
You will be a happier person. You can't live a lie. None of us can. And you waste so much energy living that lie. You want to put your energy into your work, and so I guess I would come around eventually to say, come out, and if it's tough, then it's tough.
Stahl's remarks were received well by the entire convention, among them CNBC's Garrett Glaser.
I was really thrilled that she was here, and Lesley Stahl is a real symbol for a lot of us of, somebody who overcame a lot. She's a woman in a business that's mostly men.
A stellar evening indeed, yet there's more to come. The convention picks up again Friday, October 1st through Sunday, October 4th, here in Las Vegas. I'm Dan Strickland.
For the second story, Dan Beasley of the University of Florida shot, Edmund Byrnes of American University produced, and Shirley Zilberstein of the University of Pennsylvania reported on the convention's keynote speaker, Lesley Stahl of CBS's 60 Minutes. This week, hundreds of gay journalists are in Las Vegas talking about issues they face. To kick things off, they heard from one of TV's best-known heavyweights, Lesley Stahl. This was the first National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association conference for the famous 60 Minutes reporter, but she's familiar with the organization through smaller events like dinners with gay colleagues.
As a reporter, I really am not a cause person. I've been very careful not to support causes. But these are my colleagues. A lot of the people who I go to these dinners with are my friends, and I go to support them. I just don't believe in prejudice of any kind. And I think that's what this group is trying to fight.
Several hundred journalists applauded Stahl's support and understanding. Later, Stahl told us she knows what it's like to fight for equality in the newsroom, and she says things are getting better.
Journalism has always been a profession that accepted, that fought prejudice and accepted people before others. For instance, there were always women in journalism. And I found that it was not hard for women to come into the profession in large numbers and succeed, and we have. And I don't think people think about it. Think about we know who's gay, we know who isn't, and that's the end of it.
We asked Lesley Stahl how safe she thought it would be for a gay or lesbian reporter to be out in the newsroom today.
In my environment, where I work, coming out's fine. I don't think there would be a problem at all today in New York, at CBS, in New York at 60 Minutes. I personally have no idea what life is like in Des Moines. But if a person came to me, I would say you'll be a happier person if you come out, whatever is going on with the other people in your shop.
Words of advice from Stahl for journalists who know the issue firsthand. In Las Vegas, I'm Shirley Zilberstein reporting. For the project's third story, Dan Strickland shot, Brad Dixon produced, and Phil Kahn interviewed Virginia Apuzzo, the highest-ranking gay person in the Clinton administration, who was the luncheon speaker on the second day of the convention.
For most of us in the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender community, that is not a new experience.
Virginia Apuzzo addresses hundreds at the NLGJA convention. Apuzzo is the highest-ranking openly gay official in the White House, and I caught up with her just before her speech. Virginia, what accomplishments are you most proud of?
I think disability for persons with AIDS. We accomplished that when I was at the task force. I think increased visibility in the community. We had a variety of projects that did that. Violence against lesbians and gays, that was a project that came out of my work at the task force. You know, I'm proud to have been a part of it. I mean, my biggest pride in my life is that I've been a part of what I think is one of the most important social change movements of our time.
Apuzzo says there are many battles yet to come, but those battles are fought each and every day, and she says that gay and lesbian journalists will be the foot soldiers on the front lines of the war.
I think that what we've done is what has made America great. People who have been consigned to margin historically have come to a system that has been static, that has been rigid, that refuses to move, and demands that it have vitality.
For more than 30 years, Virginia Apuzzo has been at the focus of the gay rights movement. From Stonewall to domestic partnerships and on to gay marriage, she will continue for a long time to come. In Las Vegas, I'm Phil Kahn.
For the fourth story, Shirley Zilberstein shot, Edmund Byrnes produced, and Dan Beasley reported on one of the convention's most heated plenary sessions, covering public sex.
That's what our decoy found with our hidden camera at CSU.
It began last winter. Controversial reports like this appeared on TV stations across the country. Hidden cameras being used in men's restrooms to show the alleged dangers of public sex to children.
A dreadful piece of PR for the gay cause.
The issue was the focus of this panel at the 7th Annual Convention of the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association. The panel included 2 TV news directors and 4 gay activists, including Boston's Bay Windows editor, Jeff Epperly.
I don't think I've ever seen a piece done, a hard news story done, where there were that many opinions given by the reporters.
Sorry, children should not watch. In fact, if you're squeamish, you may not want to watch either.
You'll be disturbed to learn it's happening on our college campuses.
On-air comments like these fueled the debate between audience members and news directors like WDIV's Deborah Kalura.
I will tell you that the number of anchors and people who saw the piece before it ran said, were shocked, were disturbed. One anchor man came into my office and said, I can't believe I can't send my kid to Hudson's to go to the bathroom.
Yet another issue in the debate is the use of the camera itself. Is it legal or ethical to use hidden cameras in public restrooms?
All over metropolitan Detroit.
In some states it's legal, others it's not. Either way, most audience members say the practice is unethical.
A police officer is hanging out in a toilet all day. They obviously can't be walking the beat in your neighborhood.
Keith Griffith, who runs a Cruising for Sex website, is outraged stations are cooperating with police, who he says should have better things to do.
What is not getting done in your community when the police are doing this? What is the police department doing to stop straight people who are having public sex? How many arrests are being made on Lover's Lane?
Despite 2 hours of debate, news directors still walked away unswayed.
I believe when you stand by a story, when you believe in a story, when you feel that the story is editorially fair, accurate, and balanced, you can stand by it.
And finally, there are those who argue whether public sex is a story at all. Does this kind of coverage actually protect children or incite homophobia. In Las Vegas, I'm Daniel Beasley.
For the Student Video Project's fifth story, Phil Kahn shot, Dan Strickland produced, and Brad Dixon interviewed gay comedian and author Bob Smith, who was the luncheon speaker on the third day of the convention.
Hello, I'm Brad Dixon. I'm at the Lesbian and Gay Journalists Convention in Las Vegas. We're here with openly gay comedian Bob Smith. Bob, thank you for joining us. Now, my first question is, for those of us who haven't seen your comedy act, what can we expect?
Lots of stuff about my family, lots of stuff about my boyfriend, lots of stuff about being gay, and hopefully very funny. You know, it's a little bit of everything.
Now, I understand you were touring with the trio Funny Gay Males. Who are they and what are they doing? And are you still with them?
It was 3 stand-up comics. We had all been working separately in New York in the late 80s, and we came together to do a show at the Duplex, and that was when personal ads seemed really big. And so we were like, what should we call ourselves? And, you know, we got stuck with this name, Funny Gay Males. And it was, we were reviewed, which is unusual in New York when you don't ask for a review, and it was a good review. And so what was supposed to be 2 weeks turned into like 2-year run in New York. And we worked together for about 7 years, and we'd still occasionally work together, but we've all gone our separate ways, but we're still friends. It's not like the Supremes breaking up or anything.
I understand that you're not into self-deprecation in your comedy routine. You don't like to be the butt of jokes. How do you shy away from that?
You do it a little bit, but not, you know, I mean, I make fun of other people. No, I make fun of my boyfriend, Tom, and my mother and stuff. It's a fine line. You know, you don't want it to be, I like the idea that your stand-up comedy act is kind of an autobiography with fantasy elements. And, you know, and I try to include what I really do think about political and the Roman Catholic Church and all sorts of different issues. And then, you know, there's also stuff about my birthday, and I also read like my report cards from the 1st through the 4th grade. And I had my 4th grade teacher, Mr. Brophy, who was a gay man. I didn't know that then, but, you know, his boyfriend used to walk their dog. And like I was a troublemaker in the first 3 years, and then when I had him, I was like, you know, a joy to have in class. So it's just stuff like that.
Do you do any current events at all, politics?
I try to always include stuff. Like I always talk about specific items of homophobia. What's bizarre about it was that a couple years ago I did a joke about, because Newt Gingrich in an interview compared being gay to being alcoholic, and so I do a whole thing mocking out that whole idea. And then this year, you know, Trent Lott in an interview said the exact same thing. He had kleptomania, which, you know, was insane. And so, of course, that joke I had been doing for a few years became topical again. So I like that.
Now, I understand you've been with your boyfriend Tom for 10 years now. How do you stay in a relationship that long? Does it take a sense of humor?
You know, I say that the best thing about being in a relationship is that you get to bring someone home to meet your family. And then you notice things about your family that you never noticed because you always thought your family was perfectly normal. And my example is that this is true. I brought Tom home to meet my parents, and one day later he goes, Bob, have you ever noticed that your mother has this habit of making a statement, questioning it, and then finally disagreeing with herself? And I go, like, what the hell are you talking about? So we were driving through this old town. Nice. The people take good care of them. Well, not everyone does. I guess it's not that nice. I don't like this area. So that was just hysterical. And then another true example is that, you know, of how I base things on my family and stuff was my mother is like a big source of material. And she, when I did the Tonight Show, I called home and I go, Mom, next month I'm doing the Tonight Show. And she goes, oh, that's great, Bob. I go, but Mom, you know now that this means that everyone's going to know I'm gay, you know, the next door neighbors and everyone. And I said, are you and Dad okay about that? And she goes, yeah, your father and I talked about it, but we thought there's a lot of people named Bob Smith. Who's going to know? So that was hilarious. And I ended up telling that anecdote on the Tonight Show to Jay Leno when I sat down at the panel, and, you know, because it was hysterical.
I heard that you're writing a screenplay for Steven Spielberg's company. What's happening with that?
I'm living in Los Angeles now, and like everything in the movie industry is, we'll see. You know, everything takes a long time there. I am liking it, but there's a lot of things that, you know, you work and like people are like, oh, maybe do this, and, you know, maybe you could do that. And, you know, because I'm known as a gay comedian, it's always, you know, well, he just writes gay stuff, and, you know, not realizing that my book is all about families and, you know, being in a relationship. I think a lot of the same stuff applies.
Do you feel that you've been pigeonholed at all?
Teensy bit, but not. People have been really supportive and interested, and I have written for like Dennis Miller for the MTV Video Awards, and I did all topical stuff for him, and there was a whole group of writers, and like, you know, the head writer for like Saturday Night Live, and I was the only writer he took jokes from. That, you know, so I was pretty proud of that. And I worked for Roseanne when she did a sketch comedy show on Fox that didn't work out, but it was a really fun experience. And, you know, a lot of those, I think I must have wrote like 45 sketches, and I think 2 of them were gay, you know, and other things got on. And so it was, I do think people take me, you know, they know I'm funny.
Well, you've written screenplays, you've written television scripts, you've done your comedy routine. What's next?
Well, I do like the writing. I like writing. So I'm working on a new collection of essays for Rob Weisbach Books that'll be out probably, I hope, next year if I get it all done, and at the end of next year. And I'm working on another screenplay idea. So someone else has asked me to do that, and we'll see what happens. But one thing that I like about writing books is that, you know, you sign a contract and it's going to happen, and you deal with an editor, and it's very civilized, and, you know, it's a good thing to be. So I'm happy writing the books right now.
Okay, Bob, well, we're out of time for now. Thanks so much for joining us. As we've seen today, there's more to comedian Bob Smith than what we see on stage. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brad Dixon.
And finally, for the 6th story, Pat Byrnes of the University of South Florida shot, Ricky Shankar of San Francisco State University produced, and Eileen Smith of San Diego City College interviewed retired U.S. Navy Master Chief Timothy McVeigh, who came out publicly for the first time during a panel discussion on internet privacy.
I'm here poolside at the Alexis Park Resort Hotel in sunny Las Vegas, shortly before Tim McVeigh came out to the public at the 7th Annual NLGJA Convention. I was able to chat with him regarding the AOL incident and how it feels to be in the national spotlight. I asked McVeigh if friends and former crew members have been supportive through this ordeal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were there people that didn't know you were gay, that now did know you were gay and then, like, turned against you or shunned you or, you know?
Well, I said didn't know I was gay, didn't know I was gay, or did know I was gay. It wasn't really an issue.
How does it feel being in the national spotlight?
It's kind of different. I don't know. It is. It's not too bad. Once I left Hawaii, I'm no longer in Hawaii. I'm now in Jacksonville, Florida. And when I left Hawaii, some of the sort of notoriety kind of went down, because I think people expected to find me in Hawaii.
Right.
I would walk down the street in Hawaii, and people from Australia or Wisconsin or really throughout America would stop me on the street and ask me, and, you know, say, "Hey, aren't you the sailor?" And so that was kind of interesting. But at the same time, it makes you wonder, okay, well, gee, everybody's watching here.
Now, the historical moment. Timothy McVeigh comes out publicly for the first time during a panel discussion. This is prompted by Howard Goldberg, an editor for the Ohio Bureau of the Associated Press. Goldberg simply asks, "Are you gay?"
Obviously, with the don't ask, don't tell policy, there was a question earlier that was asked of me, and, you know, why didn't I say anything, you know, after the case sort of resolved itself? And I said, well, I was still under the don't ask, don't tell policy, and so I wasn't able to say anything. Since I retired on August 31st, I'm free to say whatever I want. Are you gay?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So am I.
Timothy McVeigh comes out to the public, a fitting finale to a distinguished military career.
This is Eileen Smith reporting from the Alexis Park Resort Hotel for the 7th Annual NLGJA Convention in Las Vegas.
Video project intern Brad Dixon was behind the only camera that was rolling when McVeigh's coming out took place at the NLGJA Internet Privacy Panel. 2 television stations, KLAS, the CBS affiliate in Las Vegas, and ABC's KITV in Honolulu, subsequently requested copies of the videotape, which were used in their stories on the event. We close with footage of the KITV story.
Timothy McVeigh broke the news at a national convention of gay and lesbian journalists. He told the crowd what the Navy suspected but couldn't prove in court.
Since I retired on August 31st, I'm free to say whatever I want. Are you gay?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So am I. Because I'm not admitting that I'm gay. That assumes that there's some sort of guilt or something else that's wrongdoing that's associated with it. I'm telling you.
McVeigh went on to win his lawsuit against the Navy and America Online for invading his privacy on the internet. The settlement included $90,000, reinstatement, and full retirement benefits. But throughout the ordeal, McVeigh dodged questions about whether he was gay or straight.
Navy's policy is that you can't ask and I can't tell.
We're not in the Navy, though.
I still have to live by the same policy.
Those who know McVeigh say they're glad he can now talk openly about his sexuality.
I'm glad he has the opportunity now to live his life. Will it be easy? No, because there's still people that will hold it against him, but at least he's able to live his life the way he wants to now.
Goliu says he last saw McVeigh and his mother as they boarded a plane for their new home in Jacksonville, Florida. He says McVeigh's sexual preference takes nothing away from him as a person.
In fact, it makes him a stronger person because he was able to go through that whole ordeal and stay and follow the rules the Navy told him. Don't ask, don't tell. And he stuck it till the end there, until he retired.
As for McVeigh's future plans, he's told friends he's focused on writing a book and working the lecture circuit. Catherine Cruz, News 4.
The National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association's 8th annual convention will be in Atlanta, September 16th through the 19th, 1999. In addition to the student website and video projects, a student radio project will be initiated at the Atlanta convention. The National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association is a 1,350-member group founded to work within the news profession to foster fair, accurate, and comprehensive coverage of lesbian and gay issues, and to oppose newsroom bias against lesbians, gays, and all other minorities.